Welcome to Classic World Tales TV. Today, we continue our journey through a story of broken hearts, silent tears, and the echoes of a love that once was. This is part 2 of When Love Wept in Silence. If you missed part 1, go back and experience the origin of this emotional tale. In part 2, we will uncover the depth of pain, the struggle for redemption, and the faint light of hope that still burns within. Stay with us to the end, and watch out for our next captivating tale on Classic World Tales TV. 2 years had passed since the village of Oro had last heard Chidi's voice echo through its narrow paths. The once vibrant young man had become a quiet memory, swallowed by time and distance. He now lived in the city of Enugu, teaching literature at a modest secondary school. His students admired his wisdom, though none knew the sorrow he carried in his eyes. One evening, after dismissing his final class, Chidi sat alone in the staff room, staring at a fading photograph of a mango tree. A gentle breeze drifted through the louver windows, bringing with it the scent of distant rain. He closed his eyes and remembered Amora's laughter, the way she'd playfully chase him through the bush paths, her wrapper flapping behind her like a kite. Back in Oro, Amora's life was far from the dream she had once envisioned. Her marriage to Emeka had begun with lavish celebrations and hopeful promises. But those quickly crumbled into quarrels, long silences, and empty stares across the dinner table. Emeka, once full of ambition, now drowned himself in bitterness and gin. He stayed out late, returned without explanations, and often slammed doors without words. One rainy afternoon, Amora sat on the wooden bench outside their veranda, her fingers tracing the raindrops on her thighs. Her mother came visiting and sat beside her, wrapping a shawl around her daughter's shoulders. "You look like you're fading, Amora," she whispered. Amora didn't reply. She simply looked away. Chidi had begun writing a novel. It was about a man who lost everything but still carried the strength to love again. The words flowed from his pen like a river, but the pain in them was raw. One night, his friend and colleague, Ifeanyi, read a few pages and asked, "Is this about you?" Chidi gave a sad smile and said, "It's about everyone who's ever been broken." Meanwhile, Emeka's guilt had begun to manifest in dreams. He saw Chidi standing in the rain, eyes hollow, lips trembling. He saw Amora crying behind locked doors. And in those dreams, he was always powerless, always the villain. One Sunday, Amora traveled to Enugu to see her cousin. As fate would have it, she spotted Chidi through the glass window of a bookshop. He was signing copies of his new book, now published and gaining attention. Their eyes met for the first time in years. Time froze. The bustle of the market outside disappeared. Amora entered the shop with trembling hands. Chidi looked up and stood still. "Hello, Chidi," she said softly. He nodded. It's been a long time. Tears filled her eyes. Too long. They sat outside the bookshop later, under a frangipani tree. Words were slow to come. Amora apologized. She poured out her soul, recounting the loneliness, the regret, the weight of every day lived without peace. Chidi listened. He said little. But when she finished, he handed her a copy of his book. On the first page, he had written, "To the silence that taught me how to speak." Back in Oro, Emeka stood on their veranda, staring at the horizon. Amora hadn't returned that night. For the first time in years, he felt fear. The next morning, she returned, her eyes puffy but resolute. "I saw Chidi," she said. Emeka looked at her and said nothing. "Do you still love him?" She looked away. "I never stopped." Emeka sat down, burying his face in his hands. "Then I've lost you." "No," she said. "You never truly had me." Emeka decided to leave the village for Lagos. He needed to start over, to find the man he had lost to jealousy and greed. Before leaving, he wrote a letter to Chidi. "I destroyed what was beautiful between us. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope one day you'll understand that envy is a fire that consumes everything in its path. I am sorry." Chidi read the letter in silence. Weeks later, Chidi returned to Oro. The village hadn't changed much, but his heart had. He walked past the old mango tree and found Amora there, sitting on its roots, staring at the sky. She turned as he approached. I didn't think you'd come back, she said. I didn't think I could, he replied. She stood. He stepped closer. There were no more accusations, no more tears, just a long embrace that said everything their words couldn't.
Listen.
In time, Chidi and Amora began rebuilding their friendship. It was cautious at first, like walking across a broken bridge. But slowly, trust found its way back. They spent evenings talking about books, laughter, and the innocence of childhood. One evening, under the moonlight, Chidi looked into her eyes and asked, if life gave us a second chance, would you take it? She held his gaze with both hands. Months passed, and Chidi proposed. It was simple, a quiet moment beside the river where they had once played as children. Amora said yes, her voice choked with emotion. They married in a small ceremony in Oro. It wasn't extravagant, but it was full of love. The villagers watched with teary eyes as the two souls, once broken by silence, found harmony in forgiveness. Years later, they told their children the story of love that wept in silence but sang again through grace. Thank you for watching part 2 of When Love Wept in Silence on Classic World Tales TV. We hope you felt the emotions, the lessons, and the beauty of second chances. Stay with us for more unforgettable stories. And remember, true love never dies, even when it weeps. Until next time, stay blessed and subscribe to Classic World Tales TV.